Welcome everyone. Welcome back to weekly Forexcast. Man, it's been a lot of value coming in the market this past week, this past couple of weeks. Really, everything that's going on, Russia, Ukraine, all the uncertainty. It's been a lot of volume, so a lot of really good trending moves, right? So we see here. I want to start with the dollar index and going over a few pairs that's on my watch list for the week. We see the dollar is continuing its bullish pressure, right? We now broke above this level of structure, looking to the left, broke above this level. So for me, I'm still bullish on the dollar, especially with everything that's going on. The dollar tends to see some volume coming into it. All right. So now on the dollar, we could see a potential correction here, but even if it pulls back on the retest, my bias is still to the upside on the dollar. And we're going to see how pretty much the Forex pairs are actually lining up and trading in line with that for the most part. All right. So if we go to GU, if you're in the Telegram or if you've been following some of my projections, GU, I was projecting GU to continue to the downside. All right. It just from here, it didn't give much more of a pullback, right? It just basically slightly pulled back and had a nice break to the downside. So we see where we're at now. We're at this level of demand. All right. But we still see it's a lot of bearish pressure on GU. We could scroll. If I look at this on a weekly, all right, this is a key level of structure. So if price was to break this level of structure, all right, then we could possibly see an even bigger move to the downside here on GU. So we're going to see how price develop, looking like it's developing this week. All right. So for GU, me personally, I would still look for shorts. So if we go down here on a 4-hour, you can see how, even if I get rid of this real quick, so you can clearly see, you can see price was clearly still making lower highs and lower lows. All right. Right here in this level, right, it broke down, slightly pulled back, forming a lower high, and gave us that extension to the downside, forming that lower low. All right. So I'm still looking to trade in line with structure. So if I'm looking for any type of pullback or potential correction, I would like to see price come back, and actually retest structure. All right. If we could get a retest of structure anywhere in these levels, all right, somewhere in here, something like that, see price pull up, get some type of retest, look for some type of rejection to continuation to the downside. All right, overall, I will be looking for that. All right, so you can even get that, or if we go back, if price breaks, you can either wait for that pullback and then catch continuation, or let's say if you don't get that and price just continues to break from here. All right, the price continues to break this structure. Right, on that break of structure, I would look for the corrective bearish flag or the retest, for that continuation to the downside. All right, so that's what we're looking for on GU. All right, GJ is pretty much the same thing. We can see overall, right? Overall, GJ is still giving us that bearish pressure to the downside, with JPY strength coming in. All right. And this is also my projection on this was a continuation to the downside as well. So we can see similar to GU and GJ tend to move similar. So you can see how price here is basically making this continuation to the downside. All right, price broke down, had a retest of structure, continue break, price retested the structure one more time, pretty much forming a double top. And then we got that extension down. So looking at this, it basically just formed a lower low right here. That was our lower low. All right. So now for the continuation down, I would like to see price. If price can give us some type of corrective move, or possibly even a retest of structure. And then from there, I will look for look to catch that continuation to the downside. All right. Because if we zoom out, you can see this is an important point of structure. All right. So for here, price would just look for a retest. Here, you could look for the retest and look for price to continue to the downside from here. All right. So my targets, this could come all the way back down to 150 or lower, like back down to like 149 as well. 149.5 to 149, all right, anywhere in this level, but it's basically going to line up. I'm looking for the next level to be hit that lines up with this level of demand structure. All right. So that's GJ. All right, GA. So looking at GA, it's interesting because overall, man, it's been a lot of bullish pressure into the Australian dollar over these last week or so. So we can see GA is still continuing, had a strong breakdown here. If we look into the left, price had a strong breaker structure. So it's clearly still in this bearish wave, this bearish trend, right? So if we look at this, I'm still bearish here. So I would like to see some type of pullback, maybe the retest of structure, like we come back and maybe retest this previous structure support, previous structure demand, something like that. So I would look for this to give some type of corrective wave. All right. On this corrective wave, look for price to possibly give us that breakdown for the continuation to the downside. All right. Normally when I'm trading like in line with structure and I'm looking at, okay, we had a clean, clear, it's clear the direction, right? So I like to look for my potential levels of structure where price could possibly come back and retest to. So an ideal point will be around here. That would be like an ideal point. All right. So something like this. Price come back and retest. And it's continue down. All right. Now it's possible for it not to even pull back that deep, but also always look left to go to the right. So if we look into the left right here, you can see that this also is at a level of demand, a level of demand structure right here. Looking to the left. This is a level of demand. The price had a nice move to the upside. All right. So this could be the level that price could potentially correct from, right? And give us a bullish corrective wave up before any potential continuation down. All right. So keep that in mind too. So when you're an intraday trader, I mean, you could trade both sides. It's good to understand the overall direction. All right. But you could still trade both sides of the market based off of how you trade. Right. So if it gave some type of bullish price action here, you could possibly catch a long, a buy from here too. All right, so that's GA overall to the downside, but this could be some potential short-term buy opportunities coming up. All right, so looking at EJ as well, similar to GJ, like a lot of bearish pressure coming in, JPY strength coming in, right? Looking at this on a weekly, we could clearly see that this is easily still to the downside. Looking to the left, right? Price had this level of supply where it had a top from. So here we got a strong break back below that level of structure, right? You see here in the past, it became another level of resistance there, pulled away, right? Eventually broke above, became support. So this is a point of structure that we see, okay, we got a firm breakdown of that. All right. So I'm still bearish on EJ. So this is same thing. I look for my potential point of structure where we possibly can maybe pull back, maybe retest. All right. But overall, you understand that, okay, price is still showing signs to the downside. All right. So I would like to see some type of correction, some type of pullback. Ideally, a retest of this structure would be ideal. All right. Which when we're looking at that would be a big pullback. All right. So if it pulls back, if it's going to pull back to 127, 127.5 area, I mean, that's like 300 pips when we currently at. So if you see some type of bullish reason, bullish price action, you could trade into that as well. But overall, understanding that it's likely that the bigger move or the move is still this still trending to the downside for the move coming. All right. So understand that if you do mess around and catch a buy in a smaller time frame, that is likely just setting up overall, right, for that continuation down. All right. So overall, I'm still bearish on this, but there could be potentially short-term buys, depending on what price shows us. All right. EU, man, it's crazy. EURUSD. I've been basically, if you've been following my analysis on this, like we've been on point, right? Clear all the way from this top of supply, always look left to go right. Price just repeated itself, and now we're back down at these levels. All right. So now remember what I said when price came down. When price came down, it basically broke below this structure, came up, and I was saying on the breakdown, look for some type of retest. We got that retest, and price just continued to the downside. All right. So really last week, this was the retest opportunity here. You see price had a strong breakaway at the retest, came back and retested again, basically forming a double top here. retested, formed that double top, and had a strong breakaway. All right, so price is still bearish. I'm still bearish on EU. It's looked like we're already basically back into these levels, but this still could potentially come down even lower into this level of demand. All right. So for me, I would still look to just ride the wave, just trade in line with that structure. All right. Just a matter of where could this potentially pull back to? Some like a main point that price could probably pull back to, a main point of structure for a bigger corrective setup I would be like somewhere in here. All right. If price was to come up and retest its previous structural support and then continue down. All right. But if I'm looking at this, it possibly won't pull back that low. Because if I look at this, you look at your next potential point of structure, like right here, this little bearish flag, right? You see your lower highs and lower lows, but it's been a lot of pressure to the downside. This is your last right here. This is your last potential like previous like lower low area. All right. So this could potentially just come up, potentially retest previous structure and then just continue. If you're looking at it on a smaller time frame perspective. All right. But if this comes up and just breaks through that, then we possibly could be getting a bigger corrective move. That's how I look at it. Like if I see my most previous point of like lower high and lower low structure. All right. If price doesn't respect that, then I look at the daily and I see my daily or the higher time frame to see my main points where price can potentially come back and retest. All right. Because overall, I still want to see those shorts to the downside. Okay. So we'll just have to see how that develops going into this week. But overall to the downside. All right. So it could be some type of corrective move and overall still look for those potential moves to the downside. All right. And lastly, Euro NZD. Well, actually, I want to look at gold too, but let's look at Euro NZD. Man, EN, I don't know. I sent this out in the Telegram too, the free Telegram. Link is in the bio. I sent this out when price was up here. All right. When price was up here, I sent this out that price was likely going to continue to break down. So I didn't expect price to move like that. From up here, price dropped over 700 by 800 pips. All right. Just about 800 pips. Okay. So if we look at this on a weekly, 1 second, see this on the weekly. You can see price is clearly still in the downtrend. Like after having this big move to the downside, it's not a coincidence that price dropped from here because we'll always look left to go right. This was a previous level of structure. Price broke down. Price retested that in the past, continued down. All right, up here was just a bigger corrective move, retesting structure before it had a big move to the downside. But looking to the left, it's clear we're in a downtrend. We have these lower highs. We have these lower lows, right? This was a lower low. And now it just made another lower low, excuse me. We can look for potentially a continued wave to the downside. All right. So if I'm looking at this though, understanding that's a lot of bearish pressure. Like even from here, right here on this pullback, just from there, price dropped. Let's see, it dropped 1,200 pips from right there. Like, and that started on the 28th of February. All right. The 20th of February to now, which is about March 7th, price dropped 1,200 pips. All right. So now I'm looking at my most potential retest point of structure will be this level of demand right here. All right. So I will mark in this zone of structure. Now, if price can come up and have a bigger corrective move up and retest around here, that would be my next area that I would look for potential retest and continuation to the downside. All right. Because if I also look at this on a monthly, all right, I can draw my trend line here on a monthly. All right, from this low to that low and extend it out. All right, you can see that price also broke our monthly trend line. That's a big deal. So we broke the monthly trend line. We broke below, forming a lower low of previous structure higher low or previous structure low right there. All right, so now overall, I'm looking for pullback opportunities for continuations to the downside. All right. So that's what you can identify and look for in Euro NZD. All right. And lastly, looking at gold. This is one of those times where no matter how strong the dollar is right now from a technical perspective on the charts, gold is going to pump because when you talk about wars and stuff like that, investors is pumping their money into safe haven assets. Gold is a safe haven asset. JPY is also a safe haven currency. So we have We have a lot of volume, positive volume, bullish volume into these safe havens. All right. So gold is still pumping. It reached 2,000. All right. This is the highest the gold has been in, since late 2020, basically. All right. So I'm still bullish on gold. So for this, if I come out to like the 4 hour, you see we're still making these higher highs. All right. So the next point of potential retest structure, I would look around here, like the previous structure high. All right. So price could potentially just pull back there, retest, and just continue from there. All right. Either around there, I would look for potential continuations because I will only be looking for buyers on gold right now. All right. Price could surpass 2,000 possibly. All right. Either there or my next potential point of structure will be there. All right. But overall, I would look for price to stay above these like higher lows that it made. All right. So overall, either there, all right, or here, right, forming another higher low to potentially give us that move to the upside. All right. So that's what I would look for on gold. Now, gold just had a sharp sell off because if we look into the left, this is a major level of supply that it's pushing into. Looking to the left, all right, this is around the all-time high. All right, all-time high that it made was 2,064 or so. All right, and that high was made August 2020. So price could possibly surpass that. We see we clearly still in the bullish trend. All right, so long-term gold is extremely bullish. All right, so just keep that in mind. Okay. So those are the pairs on my watch list. Overall, you can see that the big trending moves is here. The bigger directional moves is clear. So now it's just a matter of being patient. Depending on how you trade, I like to usually trade in line with the trend, trade in line with the volume. But sometimes I would catch, a trade or an intraday setup, trading the correction, understanding that's likely a correction, setting up for a continuation. But it just depends on how you like to trade. All right. So just be patient, let the trades come to you. And I hope that helps. Also, if you're new here, be sure to like, subscribe. Free Telegram is in the bio. And I'll see you all on the next one.